Reds family, rivals, neutrals, all that are joining us on the channel tonight. I want to start somewhere that's not going to be it's not going to be comfortable at all. It's rather uncomfortable to talk about. Um, we're not going to talk about football for a quick moment, but it is related to football. And I want to start with something that should never be a part of football, and that is what happened at the Liverpool parade. Paul Doyle, who was the man that drove the car into a crowd of our people, and I do say that proudly. I do call Scousers my people. Is beyond anything we should ever have to talk about on a football show. I've read the reports. I've seen the descriptions. I've seen the footage from the dash cam. People screaming. It was absolutely horrible. Children, adults, Reds, period. This is not an incident. That was terror, I believe. It was definitely terror. And when you hear the judge say your disregard for human life defies ordinary understanding, it hits you. It's tough to talk about, but it hits you that this wasn't a mistake. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't panic. This was a man in full what's being called red mist. I've never even heard that term before until this case. Okay. And he was leaning on his horn, he's screaming, get out of the effing way, while driving into people. 134 injured, 2 babies, 6 more children, families that will never look at a crowd the same way again. And in the middle of the horror, you've got one of our own, and I do have to I say one of our own because he's a proud hero. You can say that much, because there's an ex-soldier named Dan Byrne that literally climbed into the back of that car to stop it, not thinking about himself, just thinking, I've got to stop this. That's courage. That's the real spirit of the city, I believe, at least. I certainly will allow for Lee to speak on that more profoundly. But I just wanted to just note that this guy has gotten 21 and a half years is his prison sentence. He pleaded guilty to 31 offenses, including 9 counts of causing grievous bodily harm with intent and 17 counts of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm. It's something that you have to recognize. It's something that is not, again, easy. It's not comfortable to talk about. It's not something I want to talk about per se, but it is something that you have to speak on because of the victims or the people that were hurt and harmed in that man's story need to be recognized as having support amongst us all. So, did you want to speak on some of what I had to say, or do you want to?
I don't think we'll ever know what truly went on inside his head. You could see that he got agitated by people booting his car because he was somewhere he wasn't meant to be. I don't know if we're ever going to truly get to the bottom of it, but they have given him a stiff sentence, haven't they? And you just wonder what can be done in future to ensure it doesn't happen at parades, you know what I mean? I was in town, but the Wi-Fi went down, and that's why I just stayed in the city centre in a pub. You know what I mean? But soon heard about it when I got home. That guy did well who got in the car to stop him. That was an act of bravery.
Bravery.
He had any weapons in his car or anything. What made him that angry, it's hard to tell. I don't think I'd get that angry if someone booted my car, especially if I sort of realised as well at the same time, I'm not meant to be in here in a car. This is meant to be cordoned off. Could he not understand why people were pissed off and booted his car, his precious car?
Yeah.
I hope he gets a lifetime ban from driving anyway. I hope he's never been allowed behind.
It isn't. That's a weird thing about it. I'll give you clarity on this real quick, and I'll allow for you to finish, Lee, of course. But that's the weird thing. He received an extended driving ban apparently for 16 years and 10 months. The man's going to be locked up for 21. So maybe, I guess, maybe that is when he gets out of prison. He'll have no driving license for an extended 16 years of his life. But yes, but it's meaning that he's going to have 16 years currently, and while he's in jail, that doesn't really make much sense. That's why I'm trying to say it that way. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the man, absolutely horrific day, absolutely horrific moment in a beautiful day. That's the one thing that really is sad and really disappointing, to have to talk about this. I mean, there was like
Yeah.
6 months. The victims go from 6-month-old baby to a 77-year-old woman. That is something that has to like sit deep into your heart to have some sympathy,
Yeah.
if not sympathy, for those people.
The one
And
silver
our hearts
lining,
go
if you can
out to
call
those
it
who are
that,
dead.
is the one silver lining, if you can call it that, is that nobody did die. They could easily have the
Yes,
way you went about it.
absolutely. I agree with
So,
that. I agree with that. I agree with that completely.
yeah. I hope he has a nice stay in prison and is very healthy throughout his time in prison, and leaves prison a healthy man. Let me put it that way.
Okay. Well, let's say from real life villains to the pantomime kind. And what I mean by that is we've talked about a man who genuinely endangered lives. Now let's move to some footballing clowns. Someone that I like. This player I actually do like. But when I heard him say what he had to say, I'm like, wow, you have a clown nose on right now, my friend. Because we're going to step forward to talk about something going on with Inter Milan, and maybe even the death of football penalty brigade, but that's at least what he's referencing it as. But I'm calling it the bozo of the week. So let's deal with this. We're going to crown the football bozo of the week, and that goes to Inter Milan and this narrative that they're trying to draw about this is the death of football brigade. And what I mean by that is this, and this allowed for me to just bring you all into light as to what's been going on in this story. Since Dominic Szoboszlai buried the late penalty at the San Siro, Inter Milan and some of their players have done every version of the same press conference cry. Lautaro Martinez, like I said, I like the player. He quoted and said it was an injustice, referee's mistake. If you gave a penalty for every holding foul, the game would never be played. Emmanuel Viviano said it's the death of football. Madness, never a penalty.
The death of football.
Exactly.
Talk about an overstatement.
I know exactly what I'm going with here.
Exaggerating much there, fella.
Exactly what I'm trying to get at. Please, lads, spare me with that overhype garbage. Your player grabbed Florian Wirtz in the box on camera in slow motion inside a Champions League stadium with 20 different angles. And then you're shocked, and I do stress this word shocked, that modern VAR eventually gave the foul. And here's the bit that makes me laugh. Where were the sermons when Liverpool, in my opinion, were robbed in Galatasaray? Oh, you don't hear Lautaro Montero going off about, oh, this is the death of football, or not. He didn't say that one. Actually, it was Viviano who said that. That's where I'm trying to get it. Like, where were these poetic monologues about the death of football when we've had goals chalked off for microscopic nonsense? Or when we've been told to just get on with it after howlers? Because we've had a few howlers happen to us, and we all know it. Inter's line is, if penalties were given for every holding foul, the game would never be played. My line is, if defenders grab shirts in the box in 2025 like it's 1998, they're either naive or stupid, maybe both, but you can definitely pick one. And for Viviano, calling that the death of football, the Serie A literally survived. If you watch Serie A football, it survives on soft fouls.
Mate,
It
it's so
survives on
great.
rolling around.
Yeah,
I'm about,
it's
I'm about
sour
to land.
grapes. I thought the
Yeah,
Italians like their wine. It's just sour grapes, isn't it? I
yeah.
thought the Italians love their vino.
That's a good
You
one.
know
That's
what
a
I
good
mean?
one.
But yeah,
Yeah.
what he's miffed about is that it happened in their stadium. It happened in front of their fans in their own stadium late in a game, and they couldn't handle it. That it was taken away from them at the death. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? That's the only.
That's the thing
Yeah.
about it. How many times do you see Italian players or players in general in Serie A rolling on the ground as if they've gotten sniped from the stands? 45 minutes practically of VAR per game practically as an average. That's elite bozo behavior in my opinion. Inter, you've lost. You lost the game. You'll be fine. You're top of Serie A. Take the L, stop crying, and defend properly in the box. Don't cheat. All right.
No, it's a bit.
Maybe that was a little. Maybe
It's a
that's a
bit.
little
No, it's a bit
agitated. You can see
ripped
I was a
coming
little
from the
agitated.
Italians. Like we all know their idea of fair play, what it's been over the years, and it's done them well. Like it's paid off for them in some tournaments, like in that where they bent the rules, whatever. But this time, like VAR caught them out, and there's no way you can't say he didn't unbalance it. That last little tug he took at him that unbalanced him before he then tried
Yeah,
to go forward.
because they
Why
keep
shouldn't he have
preventing him
fell
from
over?
getting to the ball.
Yeah. Why shouldn't he have fell over it? Unbalanced them. End of story. They saw that on the replay. They acted,
You know,
and the rest is history.
you know what's sad about it is that that's the state of the game right now. The state of the game is now that you have to go down and make a production out of it to get a call. Otherwise, if Florian Wirtz had gotten grabbed, pulled, and not have gone down from the pulling, which was enough to maybe pull him down or make him lose his balance, if he doesn't go down, the referee is going to say play on. I know it was a foul, but it's not enough of a foul. I never got that. How about don't foul in the box? Whether you're on the offense or defense, don't foul in the box. Play by the rules. We see this league, whether it's Champions League or even Premier League, make calls that one week they're okay, the next week they're not okay.
Bastoni could always have kept his hands off Wirtz and just kept right tight up behind him without grabbing his shirt. Could always have done that. Give that a
I just
whirl.
realized it. Was it Bastoni? I just realized that it was Bastoni.
Yeah, it was Bastoni, yeah.
Well, well done, Bastoni. I like you even more. You should become a Red. Maybe that's his way of trying to be a Red. He was like, I got to give him this win. Maybe this will endear me to the fans in Liverpool. I'll give him this win by cheating a little bit and giving them a freebie in the box here. Oh man, I'm sure that's not going to help my pleas to bring in Bastoni. I know some people in the chat don't rate Bastoni as much as I do, but I think he's a good player. But yes, that's just something I wanted to get into before we get into some other top topics. But yeah, it is a funny one. It is a funny one. But while Inter are busy crying about one decision, Liverpool are one more hamstring away from a genuine problem. Let's switch the lens back to Anfield and talk about something far more serious, and that is our defense, which is hanging on by a literal thread in what has to happen in January. Let's get into this, okay? So let's talk about something far more serious about a football stand back, and that is our back line. Joe Gomez going down after Brighton isn't just another injury, people. It's a giant flashing siren over Anfield saying, Arnie, Richard, even Michael, if you don't act in January, you are begging for disaster. And this isn't the first time this kind of disaster has been on the doorstep of a Liverpool team that is poised to make a real concerted run, or at least supposed to be making some noise. Now, right now, Virgil van Dijk has played every minute in the league and in the Champions League. If we had Nalante on right now, I'm sure Nalante would be like, we gotta get Virgil van Dijk. I'm not doing the Nalante voice, by the way. But but we've got to get Virgil van Dijk his minutes. We got to get him his minutes. We got to get him his rest. Konate. Ibu has played the third most minutes in the entire squad. Gravenberch has even played as a center half for us. He's already being talked about as an emergency option at center back on top of being our number 6. I don't even know how that's possible. While Toro Endo, injured with an ankle injury. We all know that the unfortunate injury to a promising young player, Giovanni Leone, ACL, even if he were to return to training in January, I'm not looking to include him in this season. We have academy lads like Nalo or Walete Lucky. Clearly not trusted yet, as we saw from the Palace game, because they weren't called on. You can hear it in Slot's voice when he says he's almost happy we're out of the League Cup because we don't have the bodies. I've already addressed that. I don't want to ever hear that being mentioned from our coach's mouth again. You should never be happy about losing and being exiled or being cast off from a competition, whether it's domestic competition or even a European competition. That's not Liverpool. But that's not a luxury comment. That's a manager looking at his depth and looking at the depth chart and saying, one more hamstring, and I'll have to put Damas Szoboszlai at center back. Damas Szoboszlai, who's now got an ankle injury of his own. So January can't be vibes. It can't be if the right opportunity appears. We already have the right opportunity. Mark Gahey, medical done, deal lined up. Palace pulled the plug. That was a speculation. That was ink nearly dried on the contract. They pulled out of it. Hey, figure out how to make that happen. I know you want to have it be done in summertime because it'll save you money. But at the very same time, you are willing to spend that kind of money on the player in August. So now we're back at the table with Gahey, maybe. He's a proven Premier League defender, 25, wants a move, contract running down. There's players like Diamande, The Best, Ordonez, some of the names I can't even pronounce. Koulirakis, right? Is that how you pronounce it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Koulirakis, yeah.
Koulirakis, okay. All early 20-somethings, all playing big minutes, with Champions League or at least top tier experience. We've heard the whispers of interest in Schlotterbeck. I've even hopefully hear the whispers of Van de Ven. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I like Van de Ven. And we've also heard the whispers of Bastoni. But let's be real. January for those two is fantasy football, unless something mad happens and we way overpay. So the question isn't, do Liverpool like these players? The question to me is, are we willing to risk a VVD Konate partnership breaking down in February, in March, or even January? Because we didn't want to be decisive in January. If you're serious about defending a title or stabilizing the season or going for the Champions League or maybe making an FA Cup run, center back is not optional. It's the priority. From what the club are signaling, they don't want another Ben Davies. Remember Ozan Kabak? Yes, he plays center back. Big shout out to the Red that uses that little moniker for his name. Do you want that panic loan? Hope not. Nobody does, I think.
No.
But there's a difference between panic and proactive. We need proactive because one more soft tissue injury, and we're doing the Gravenbergs at center back starting tonight. Endo as our right center half tonight. Looking at the minutes that Virgil and Konate have racked up already, do you think Liverpool are flirting with disaster, Lee, by not having the extra senior center back in place yet?
Very much so, yeah. We've flirted with disaster once before when we sold Lovren and didn't replace him, and Klopp said Fabinho can play the position. And who didn't play the position that season after Virgil and Gomez got injured? Matip started 6 games and completed 3 of them, coming off twice at half time and once after 60 minutes. So we went a full season with no centre backs. We had young Reece Williams and young Nat Phillips, neither of whom had played 1 single second of Premier League or Champions League football in their lives. Henderson played there, Fabinho played there, Wijnaldum played there, Robertson played there.
That was the year of Natty played there too.
Yeah, everybody played at centre back because we were underprepared by going into the season with 3. And
I'm talking about Nat
4
Phillips
this time after missing out on Gay. We went into the season with 4, didn't we? Lost Leone. Now we've lost Gomez and we're down to 2. You don't want to tempt and fate. It's not a thing that should be done, tempt and fate this way. I'm not a superstitious man, but like going by the evidence of last time, it really, it killed us. We just about managed to qualify for the Champions League through Alisson's last gasp header at was it West Brom or something, was it, that game? Do you know what I mean?
I was just trying to see some of the light is in my eyes for some of the comments, trying to read some of these comments. They should never have allowed Gahey to get to that late in the window. They should have had a deadline, then move on to their next target. Very true. Very true. By accident, I had a quick peek at the list over. Whoops. I missed that comment. It just went up already. Seeing what other stuff is going on about in the chat. Some funny comments. Yeah, no, I was talking about Natty Phillips too, by the way. You gotta give a shout out to Nat Phillips. I thought Nat Phillips did a tremendous job for the level of play that he can, bring out. And the fact that he played the Liverpool way, I think that's why I enjoyed his presence, much less the fact that he wasn't necessarily top tier center half or something like that. I'm not trying to give that illusion, but I thought Natty Phillips was a good player. I thought he was a good player, a good squad player. Good squad player. Was in limbo for a long time too with the club, with the way that they went about with his maybe getting moved on. But yeah. What is it that I was going to say is if you had to choose right now, Lee, then what player of all those players I mentioned just earlier, and you can tell us in the chat too, by the way, what player would you push for in the January window for someone? Would you go for someone like Gahey, or maybe would you go for someone like Diamande, or do something, or make a real push and splash the cash possibly? And keep in mind, if we do splash cash in this January window, we are taking away our ability to possibly go for certain players in the upcoming summer window, possibly. So
It's the
So
here and
again,
now I'm concerned about, the here and now.
mhm,
And we desperately need someone. Some good names mentioned, but a lot of them are no more than potential. I wouldn't mind buying a really experienced player. I mean, getting Gahey would be good if we could in January, but if it don't happen, then most of the others that have been mentioned are just like potential. Um,
mhm,
I really like Schlotterbeck, but it'd probably be too hard to get him in January. But because of his experience, I'd like he's got quite a lot of experience, and Champions League experience as well, which
mhm.
helps. But Gahey would be a perfect fix because he's already playing in the Premier League and has been now for quite a number of seasons and has performed really well, albeit in a back three.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
I see,
you,
but maybe that's the eventual another portion of the evolution that the team is going to go through. Who knows? I don't know how you go through that evolution if you paid the
um,
money we spent on
yeah,
Kirkez, the money we spent on Frimpong, maybe even the commitment that we have towards Bradley. I understand Robbo is getting to a stage where we will eventually have to move on from him as our left back. But even Simicast is talking about wanting to come back to Liverpool and make a real go at it. But I understand what you mean. I think that's the real dilemma, though, is that do you choose the ideal profile and risk the season unraveling, or do you pay a bit more mid-season to make sure you're not throwing Van Dijk and Kanate, to the wolves with no cover, basically. Like sometimes good enough now is better than perfect too late. You know what I mean? Um, I see some names and some people that think. The thing about Schlotterbeck, by the way, because I've read a couple of different stories, I think Schlotterbeck is a talented player. I do enjoy his player profile. And the thing about Schlotterbeck is that you would one you wouldn't have to pay arm and leg for him. I think it's like something the number that's being put out there is like 40 to 50 million euros. Okay. So that's not a lot of money considering that he's coming up on the last year of his service. However, what you will have to pay a lot is for his wages. He wants to make he wants to make quite a bit of money. He wants to get paid like a top center half. And going to a team like a Liverpool, basically, accenting the fact that he's a part of, not saying Dortmund isn't a big time squad, but saying he's a part of a upper tier, Champions League competing style team. He's going to ask for a salary very, very reminiscent of what probably, or maybe even close to what Kanate is asking for currently. So that's a real question of, do you make that kind of splash? Um, I wouldn't mind seeing us. Apparently, I mean, like I'm seeing more. I've been researching a little bit more on the French player Jacques. He's not a bad player, and he's got a nice little he's got a nice profile, and um, I'm not saying he is a stand-in to be a starter, but he certainly could be a player that reminds me of. He reminds me, at least the player profile that I'm envisioning, is probably what we thought of when we were going for the. He plays for Manchester United now. Euro, I'm talking about, Lee.
mm,
You do? Yes, no. I don't know. Okay.
I'm just trying to think. Come on,
He was
anyway.
the French. Euro was the French player that he originally Real Madrid were
Oh,
even
Lenny
thinking about.
Euro, yeah. Sorry, when
Yeah.
you said Euro, I thought you meant like as in the Euros. Yeah, you
Oh,
were talking about the
oh, oh.
Euros. Yeah,
Yeah,
Lenny
yeah, yeah.
Euro, yeah. Or Euro,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, a good player. He looked good before they bought him, and he's got a bit to prove. But he's not in the greatest team at the moment. But he can help them if that's the route they're going through at the back. Him, Delit, and Lissandro isn't the worst back three ever, but they haven't had Lissandro for a while, have they?
No, he's coming back a little bit. I thought he got in that 4-4 draw their last game. He got subbed in late for that game, actually.
If they have them three together with half decent wing backs, then that's a large chunk of it. Casemiro's getting past it, but he's still doing the business a bit, isn't he? At least he scored a couple of goals and that. But yeah, they're very much a work in progress, aren't they, United? I just hope it's something that never comes to fruition for Amorim and United. And I'm not scared. If that's going to be their formation going forward for a number of years, I'm not asked about that. We beat them more often than we lose to them with that formation.
Okay. Well, I see some names in there. I think it's talking about. Are you talking about Van Heck? Some people people like Van Heck. I think Van Heck is it's good. They just wrote, there was an article I read that, because he's the partner for VVD with the Dutch team. So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch for him to be implemented into, having a relationship with Virgil van Dijk. And that's obviously the player that we're looking to supplement is Virgil van Dijk, and eventually looking for a player that could possibly even take the mantle of Virgil van Dijk. But I think he's a good player. Are you not bullish on him either?
Van Heck.
Yeah, it would take a lot. I'm not saying it wouldn't take a lot, especially since he plays for Spurs, especially since he plays for a team that he's got he already has a contract for, and it's not like we can get him in the summertime or something like that. But it would take a lot.
Van de Ven, very good, very fast. I liked him before they bought him. I liked him before they bought him.
I meant Van de Ven. Excuse me.
I was reading something. Mickey Van de Ven, but he's had a lot of injury problems, and mate, we've had enough players with injury problems. We don't want to be buying another one. So based upon his injury record, I wouldn't want Mickey Van de Ven. If he didn't have that injury record, I'd have him in a heartbeat, mate, because I think he's excellent. He's super fast as well, isn't he? Him and Virgil would be a good double act, I reckon.
Would you, like Red Armchair Supporter asked, would you take back Kanji? Bring him back to the Premier League?
No, I wasn't that big a fan of him that he played for Liverpool. No, there must be better options out there, younger options, like with potential that I'd rather have more than him.
You're talking about, Akanji.
I'd much rather take Jackie than Manuel Akanji, back and bring him to Liverpool.
Okay.
Diamande is the one we haven't heard of for a while. Him and Anathio, because we were linked with Diamande and Anathio. Why Amorim was still at Sporting, weren't we? And Klopp was still here for a number of windows, but neither ever happened, and neither have moved either. They're both still exactly where they were at Sporting. I like the idea of Diamande then, maybe. He's got more experience now as well. He's been there longer. But it can be a gamble bringing in players from the Portuguese league. Like, they don't always translate into good Premier League players. Some do really well. Others, it doesn't happen.
Oh, absolutely. Some do. Nunez. No, I'm just joking. Just try to rile up a little. Just try to rile up the base here a little bit.
The man himself.
Yeah. Heck, they've got Arsenal's got the striker of the year. That was formerly from the Portuguese league too, by the way. Well, all right, let's move on. Speaking of thin ice, it's not just center backs where the squad is stretched. Let's zoom out a little bit further and look at the wider picture, and that's who's actually left standing for the Spurs match that we have this weekend. Seems like it's forever and a day away, because it's been a while since we've had this much time in between games, other than for international breaks. But how much can this team take before the wheels start wobbling again? And that's the real question. So how many players do we have left for Spurs? How many players would you guess, Lee? How many senior outfield players? Senior outfield players do you think we have left or ready to play?
Well, let's see.
With actual Premier League and Champions League experience, like actual Premier League. And I'm talking about like one game.
All right, let's count them on my fingers. We've got Allison, got Mamadashvili, we've got Bradley.
Very close. Very close. Hi, Laura. I'm listening.
Bradley, we got Virgil, we got Ibu, we got Robbo, we got Kirkes, we got Endo, we got Gravenberch, we got McAllister, we got Jones. I think we've got Sobersley. We got Ekatike and Isaac. Then after that, because there's no Salah or Gakpo. I've gone and not counted on my thing. I counted up to 10, and then when I got past that, my counting thing fell apart. How many is it?
I wasn't counting. Sorry, was I supposed to be counting? You said you're counting on your fingers. You said you're using your.
Well, we've got a full team and about like 5 players, including the goalie, Mamadashvili, and then the others are kids, aren't they? We'd have to count Rio as a kid. You'd have to count Stray as a kid. You'd have to count who else is there?
All right, I'll give it to you. Right, Norm got it correct. It was very close by Hylor, very close by our Red Archer supporter, but Norm got the number right. We have 13 senior outfield players with Prem or Champions League experience ready for us. Slot told us in the presser, he said that we have 13 senior outfield players ready. That was before Brighton, by the way, too. That was before the Brighton game. That's not including the injury now to possibly to Joe Gomez, the injury to Dominic Szoboszlai possibly. Because since then we've had Joe Gomez hamstring out for Spurs, barring a miracle, he'll be gone for a Spurs game. Dominic Szoboszlai, ankle, doubtful. Even if he makes it, I don't know if I would be willing to test and try to push a player that has, a bad ankle like that, who is such an integral part of our team right now. Give him the extra week off, make it happen. Mohamed Salah off the AFCON. Cody, Asian Cody, Ichiban #1, Endo still out for weeks. Frimpong possibly back, but not guaranteed. Leone, Bashetic, Vans, Kate Gordon, Leone. All various injuries, not really in the picture. I get that, but they're not available. I'm glad to say that we get Connor Bradley back from suspension, and hopefully Frimpong steps onto the grass soon. But we're still walking into one of the toughest away days of the season with a bench that looks like a couple of kids, a couple of players rushed back. We'll probably have 2 goalkeepers on our roster just so that people don't say, "Wow, you only have like 6 players." And a manager praying nobody pulls up in the warm-up. That's the reality we're on. You cannot play this kind of high-intensity football with 13 fit outfielders for very long. Something's going to break. Something that didn't break last year has broken this year. Maybe our coaches had to push more levers this year or try to get more out of these players, considering the shape and form that our team was going through. But a hamstring, a mindset, or your league position slips, and all of a sudden, Spurs away becomes less statement with opportunity, with more of a or statement win opportunities could be, and more like survive this. Don't lose anyone else. Don't get to January upright, or get to January upright. Standing. We got players that are on yellow cards too. Thomas Szoboszlai is 1 yellow card away from a suspension. Virgil van Dijk, even Konate are like a yellow card. I think they're 2 yellow cards away from a suspension. And in the middle of all this, you can grab your tea and bring it to the table here. In the middle of all this chaos, someone is quietly becoming undroppable. A certain player is becoming undroppable, a player I absolutely definitely love to talk about. But we're going to see what we're going to go up against Thomas Frank. We're definitely going to see. When you heard Slot talk about having 13 senior outfielders, and then we lost Gomez, we lost Dom, Salah's off for AFCON. What's your honest expectation for a trip like Spurs away? Is it a statement win or is it just survive?
Just win. A win for me so we can keep this run going and set ourselves up for 2 potentially easier home games, like against a Wolves side that's been struggling badly and is rock bottom, and then Leeds, who we owe a little bit to, if you want to look at it that way, for letting them back in that game. But if we can get a win here, like, I'd be made up. Any type of win will do me. Any so no goal scorers, doesn't matter. Own goal will do me. Off a Spurs player's backside and into the net, that'll be fine. Just a win, yeah, by any means. Just win.
Okay. Put the status in for Hylor.
Yeah, statement wins can come later on when we're playing better. For now, just win.
Okay. Do you think this is kind of like an injury crisis? Do you think we're going through an injury crisis? Should this force Slot to be more pragmatic with the system, or what?
Well, it is a bit of a crisis, right? We're suddenly down a number of players, like. But he's going to have to plough through it. He's just going to have to make the best of what he's got. Hopefully what we've got is good enough to do the job in London. I mean, we've got a good enough defence and midfield if everyone's fit. Like, we don't get any more injuries, I'm not too worried. Like, if we were to get more injuries before then I'd be worried. But it's keeping them fit on the day as well, because we haven't got that much on the bench. It's going to lessen his options for changing the game if the game isn't going well. But, it's part of a season. Everyone gets injuries. I'm not going to give it one like it's only us, because clearly every team gets injuries. We just seem to have got a few all at one time.
Yeah, understood. I agree with that completely too. Oh, we have a visit from our brother here, JK. How are you feeling? I'll send and condolences to the family as well.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Easily as well. Hope you're cool, bro.
Yes. We're just chopping it up about where we're at. We're going into this Spurs match with 13 players, basically around 13 players with senior experience. And like I was asking, is this like what should Slot do with this idea? Like, should he go into this game and just try to play for, like, play conservative, basically, which is what I mean. It's like, play pragmatic football, or should he go into this and just be like, okay, well, let's just play our normal style. Let's just go high pressing, high intensity, despite the fact that we're on very little reserves to call on.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say thanks to the chat, Helia, Lee Wizkid, Norman, and Red Armchair, whoever else is in there. Thanks for your messages and stuff. I don't really know the injury situation right now, bro. I know that Szoboszlai maybe is injured. But I think the way Tottenham are playing, they got beat by Nottingham Forest last week 3-0. I just reckon we've got enough in there still to go and get a result there,
Right. Especially considering, I mean, that's not saying much. Nottingham Forest actually beat us pretty handily too. So,
yeah, actually.
That's
true. But that was our bad time. I think right now we're sort of building a little mini momentum. No loss in like 4 or 5 games, and that seems a long time because We've had a few losses this season. So I just feel right now, I think the Salah hitting the bench, his little soap opera, hopefully is all over now. And I think the team's sort of realizing what sort of situation we're in. I think the displays we've shown recently shows a better sort of mindset that we had, say, a month or so ago. So that's the most positive thing I've got out of the results recently. I just feel the Sunderland, the Leeds game, I think if we turn that 1 point into 3-3, and then 4 points right now, we'll be doing this. We'll be involved in a title race now if we got them 4
We
points
would be
there.
we could be at least scratching at the door type situation.
That's right.
Yeah. No, we've seen both extremes at this club. We've seen players fall apart in ultra pragmatic phases where we barely recognize our own football. I get that. But Slot's challenge has to be to find that middle ground, I think, in this game in North London, where we go out, we have a controlled, balanced attack against them, and are able to hold our shape defensively, that we don't like kill our legs and end up, causing a lot of like ruckus to have to deal with. Because look, let's not get it twisted. They have the capabilities of scoring goals, and they have players on their team that enjoy wanting to score goals against us. If anything, the Pigeon and the likes, those kinds of guys, all have more than enough reason to have inspiration to try to score against us. But if you noticed on the thumbnail, I had a certain player on the thumbnail that, again, has been bemoaned by some and been championed by others. I had a player on the thumbnail. Like I said, I point out the comedian, the so-called comedian, that talks trash on this player, but obviously he doesn't know football, much less comedy. And that is, in the middle of all this chaos, one player is quietly becoming essential rather than optional. Let's switch from who we don't have to who we do have and talk about a Scouser hitting 200 games and finally looking like a pillar as opposed to a prospect, or maybe one day he'll be this or be that. I wanted to shine the spotlight on someone I believe is deserving of it, and that is Curtis Jones. 200 appearances for Liverpool at 24 years and 317 days old. Curtis Jones has really been making some waves. He's the youngest midfielder to do that for this club since, guess who? Can anyone guess on the chat? Or it's easy said.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are, comedians or so-called comedians, or people that don't even look like they've ever kicked a ball in their life. But it doesn't matter right now. Doesn't matter. I don't care what side of the Jones debate you're on. That number alone demands respect. Against Brighton, he was absolutely everywhere. He played 90 minutes for the third time in a week. He controlled the tempo when others were losing their heads at times. This is a kid, and I call him a kid, but lovingly, because I'm an old head now. I'll admit that. But this is a kid, and I still call him a kid because we've all watched him come through his life as a youth academy player. Like, who remembers taxis to training or growing up with every, Scout's distraction around him and still only having one goal: play for Liverpool. He said it himself. It's 200 down, and hopefully there's many more to come. That was a quote that he said. That sounds simple, but you don't hit 200 games at this club by accident. You don't survive multiple managers, multiple squad rebuilds, title pushes, injury patches, and still be trusted in the middle of the park if you're not doing something right, or at least have something worth keeping. Right now, Jones has. I only have like 2 more sentences. Right now, Jones has the best pass completion of any Liverpool player in the league at 92%. He's one of the most technically secure players on the pitch every single week. And in this diamond system, he looks like he's playing inside a structure that fits him to a T. If he stays fit, this could be the reason that this season is the season of Curtis Jones, where he moves from academy lad we're debating on to pillar of the next era. And that ties, and that's going to go right into my next segment. But before I do, I want to get the panel involved on this. Has this week with the games against Inter and Brighton at home, Inter away obviously, Brighton at home, felt like a turning point where Curtis Jones stops being the debated academy player to this lad needs to start every game. He needs to be a nailed-on starter.
Maybe not like a de facto turning point, but it's certainly, a step in the right direction with Curtis. Initially, one of the things that held him back when he first burst on the scene was injury. He got that daft eye injury that time, didn't he? That kept him out for like about 6 months or something, mad. But anyway, now he's in the team, he's playing well. And the current little mini injury crisis we've got could benefit him, because although he's not like a player that you primarily want to see on the right wing, if Szoboszlai's unavailable at Spurs, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pushed out there in Szoboszlai's stead. But obviously, he'd be coming inside a lot, and not the way Szoboszlai's been doing it. I just hope Szoboszlai's fit. But even if Szoboszlai's fit, Curtis should stay in the team for what he's done in the last couple of games. It'd be wrong to take the shirt off him, I think. But he's got to keep it going. He's got to keep it up, you know what I mean? And stay fit and available. And he can have, hundreds more appearances. You don't get to play for Liverpool 200 times, mate, if you're not up to it. That's what used to piss me off on Liverpool streams before I'd ever done it. This type of thing with you or with Brian. I would just be sitting at home and people would be getting on him like, God, he's only in the team because he's a scouser. And it's like, no, he's a good player, mate, so Klopp wouldn't like him. There's no way Klopp brought him in solely on that, because he's a bloody good player with a good skill set. And that's why he was in the team then, and that's why he's still in the team now under Slot.
Okay. What are your feelings, JK?
For me, I'd love to know Dara's and Norman's opinion on him. I know, like, Norman would know him since back in the days, being in Liverpool and stuff. Like, for me, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but in football, if you show initiative and a bit of drive and a bit of fight and a bit of a direction in your game, when everyone else is not really doing that, you're going to shine. And I think he needs to. I've always said with Curtis Jones that he needs to take these chances, because one day there are going to be too many good players in the squad for him to just be sitting bench then.
Right.
And right now, he's sort of done that. What happened about a season ago, he kept on dropping in the sweeper role. And I was like, oh, okay. That's showing me that this guy has realised conceding goals is also a problem in the team, and he wants to make sure that we don't concede. Hence why he kept on dropping there. So I was like, that changed my opinion of him in a little weird way. And then now when I see him play, I see him playing in a way where he don't want to lose.
Yeah.
And he's dropping everywhere. Like, what I like is the way him and Wirtz sort of combine with each other. And they're Szoboszlai, of course, but I would say Jones and Wirtz are the two guys who get in between everyone and keep the ball rolling. And I think Jones doing that is a good sign for him. As I've said, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but at the end of the day, the way our midfield's been this season, seeing him coming in and show a bit of toughness and that's sort of upped our game. I think playing four in the midfield suits him and suits every other midfielder for me, because there's no space for the opposition to take advantage of us, really, like compared to before. Hence why I would say Jones suits a four midfield sort of combination formation. Yeah.
Okay. I just think 200 appearances is not squad player territory anymore. I mean, like, if you've got 200 appearances, you're now a player that should be competing for a starting spot. That means that obviously you've got the experience, you've got the know-how to play in this league and be called on in this league. And at some point, the conversation has to move from, is he good enough? Obviously he is. He's had 200 times to show you he's good enough. It has to be, the question now has to be, how do we maximize what he does bring to the table, what he's able to contribute to the team? I think this box four or this diamond formation is going to be his sliding door that JK just spoke on. It's going to be his opportunity to really show he deserves to be a part of it. I think he's, as someone, I have to look and see, but someone mentioned in the chat, Lee Wiskett, for instance, mentioned in the chat, that he's playing better than McAllister. I love McAllister, but I think that's absolutely spot on comment. I think Curtis Jones is playing better, is in better form than McAllister at this moment. And I'm not saying that McAllister or Curtis Jones is a better player or anything like that, but I am saying that at this moment, his form is certainly better than McAllister's form. And this is the sliding door opportunity for him to say, okay, I know normally, coach, you probably would put McAllister in here, but I'm that guy. I'm the guy that you're supposed to be picking. Do you think Curtis Jones gets judged unfairly because he's a local lad following in Stevie G's footsteps rather than being judged on his own profile and strengths? Is the Scouser name or the Scouser origins, does that weigh so heavily that it can sometimes be a detriment rather than a compliment?
Possibly it can do, but I don't think it's a big factor for them. I think he's got more in him, Curtis. Like, he's a player who could get even more out of. Like, it's just finding the right formation and everything for him and the right players around him. But yeah, he's got a lot of qualities. Like, he's got a lot of excellent qualities. Good in and around the box, like the edge of the box, 1-2s or that sometimes, or arriving late to finish things off. One of my favourite goals for ages was a few years ago. Trent crossed from the right wing, as he always did, and Curtis was on the left-hand side and come in on the back post, left-footed, and just cushioned it past the Spurs keeper. Yeah, it was against Spurs, mate, at Anfield. I don't know who to play Spurs because he got sent off there in that bullshit.
Yeah, that was a beat.
Mate, yeah,
we're talking about BS calls. That was a BS call.
Yeah,
he got to the ball. His foot slipped off the ball and went into the player, and ended up getting a red card for that. I'm like, he obviously wasn't going intently at trying to injure the player. Yeah. He was going for the ball. He got to the ball, but yet he got a red card for it.
There was no malice in it. You could see that, but that isn't the thing. They don't take that into consideration. They're just like, his foot slipped over the ball. It went on his ankle and that. The guy made too much. The guy made too much of it, and didn't help.
Again, not to cut you off. I just wanted to say again, because I saw some of the chat agreeing with what you're saying. Pops, big up to Pops, by the way. He's saying intent isn't in the rules, and I get that. But then again, I was just told that the foul on Florian Wirtz, the intent wasn't to injure the player.
Yeah.
So you can tell me that intent isn't a part of the rules. I'm absolutely okay with hearing that and saying, cool, let's go with that precedent. But then I just saw a player kick another person in their mid region and get and the explanation was the intent wasn't to injure the player.
Yeah.
So it has to. So as much as you're saying intent isn't a part of the rules, that obviously was a part of the rules.
Yeah,
That's
come
weird.
out
That's a
with
weird
cobblers
place.
when Doku got caught McAllister in his right hand
Oh,
tit.
that's not. Yeah,
His
we could
foot
bring
was
that
so
up
high,
too.
he kicked him in the tit. Do you know what I
That one
mean?
was even more. I think that one was even more intentional.
I don't know. Yeah, that was another episode like where the intent was obviously was supposedly not there. There was no
Mhm.
intent to kick him in the tit. It just happened.
The issue with call wasn't the CJ Red. It was the lack of consistency. That's all I'm talking about. I'm primarily talking about consistency. I'm not. Look, if you're going to say that foul by Curtis was a foul and it's a red card, okay, then fine. Okay.
Oh, I was furious when that happened, mate. When he actually had to walk off, I was inconsolable. I was really outraged. I can remember how angry I was at the time. Like,
I've seen players get red cards for high challenges. I've absolutely seen players get red cards for those types of challenges. Now, obviously, now I've seen people get yellow cards for them.
if Doku's foot was any higher when he kicked McAllister in the tit, he'd have kicked him in the face. He'd have put his studs in his bloody face if his foot was just a little higher.
Yeah, it would have. Well, it's not easy being. I'm not speaking as a Scouser, but I'm just saying I'm sure it's not easy being a hometown boy, having to follow in the footsteps of, possibly one of your all-time idols. But part of understanding Curtis is also understanding his own terms. It's understanding why he plays the way he does. Excuse me. So let's go deeper into it. This is a big talking point that I know that is one of the reasons why a lot of his critics go harshly, or at least point out the reason why they aren't exactly won over by Curtis and his game. And that is, apparently he slows the game down. And that's the thing. That's the big thing about it. Is he actually like, the question is, does he not slow the ball down? Or is he, he takes too long, he dribbles too much. That's what some people think of and such. Or is he actually the one keeping Liverpool from flying off the rails? Maybe trying to provide something similar to what Lucho used to bring to our team. Something that is severely lacking.
Yeah, Slot does like a player that can keep the ball and shield the ball well, not lose possession easily. And he's quite good like that. This thing with his passing recently, like that, his passing percentage, like for the successful passes, is outrageous at the moment, isn't it? Now you can say what you want about that. You can look at that in a good way or a bad way, but it's a fact anyway, and we know it's something that Slot likes.
Yeah. That's what we're saying. If you heard it, Pops, I agree with you completely. I agree. He's saying his haters won't ever see the good in him. 200 games say something different. That's what we're trying to emphasize right now. But I'm going to bring up the statement because you know what? He addressed those people that talk about, he keeps the ball too long. He's slowing up the game too much and this and that, So let's address the talking point I know winds some of you up. Curtis slows the game down too much. You've heard it. I've heard it. He's heard it. And his actual answer, because he's addressed it, his actual answer when seeing this was revealing. He said, I don't want to be in a rush and then I give a ball to a lad who is not as comfortable as me on the ball. And he is kind of in a little bit of a challenge and he gets in, then he gets the blame. I'd rather just take it on me. That sounds certainly like the mentality of what he probably had to deal with at the Youth Academy segment of his life. He was the most talented player in that youth academy squad, and often it was get it to Curtis and let him do his magic. But I still think that comment is somewhat grown-up football, and he's basically saying, I know I can protect it. I know I can roll a press. I know I can recycle it safely and reset the team. I know these things because these are the things that really get him through selections or being selected to the team. So why am I going to whack someone else into trouble? Why am I going to lay it off to Ibu or something, or lay it off to, I don't know, Endo or someone that might not be as agile and as quick to foot as I am, is what he's trying to say, and get into trouble just so the game looks fast. Does he sometimes overdo it? I'm not going to say he doesn't. He absolutely does. Does the crowd sometimes want him to fizz it early and get rid of it early and not do what he's doing? Absolutely. But in a diamond where the entire point is keep the center compact, use short distances between midfielders, control transitions, having someone who can literally tell the game, you go at my speed, is priceless. It's something, again, I'm going to let, right after, I only have like a couple more sentences left, but after I speak, I would love to hear what JK has to say about this, because he was someone that really pointed out a lot of these features, not necessarily in Curtis Jones, but certainly in the need for this attribute to be shown on the pitch. It's not highlight reel stuff. Lucho gave us some highlight reel stuff, i.e. him putting Manchester City on skates, but it's winning stuff. And right now, Liverpool need people who can calm the chaos, not add to it. So critics can say he slows pace down or play down. I'd say in a team that's been way too frantic at times this season, the tempo break might be exactly what's keeping us from another meltdown. And that's why I wanted to ask these questions. I wanted to get JK involved in this. When Curtis says he'd rather take the pressure and hold the ball than fire a risky pass into a teammate who is maybe less comfortable with it at his feet, is that smart game management, or does that sometimes cost Liverpool's attacking momentum? Let's say.
I've always said he's always holds the ball onto the ball a bit too long, a second or two. Mm-hmm. He's definitely cut that out. He's a bit more sharper with his passing, and he's a bit smarter. He's become a smarter footballer as well. And I think that sort of made him most of his balls are forward passing. Look at his pass successful rate, 93, you were saying, 92, something?
92%, yep, 92%.
Yeah, and like what Norman said in the chat about he's come through and stuff. And I think him being a Scouser, yeah, it definitely adds that. Is he the next Gerrard for Liverpool for the next 10 years or so, 15 years or whatever? And he's had that burden. Has it done him any good? Not really. Because when I look at cricket, for example, Tendulkar in India, who's going to replace him? And no one really did it. And Kohli popped up. And that guy, he smashed it as well. So it all depends on the person's character, if they're willing to take that job on. And I think Curtis Jones, only recently I've realised that change in his game. He's a bit more serious about it. You know what I mean? Even though he's got a funny personality, I can imagine. But sometimes you've got to be serious in the game, you know?
I think there's a fine line between composure and overcautiousness, you know? I agree. I that's what you're saying. And I actually think in this diamond, his ability to say, give it to me, I'll allow for that shape to, the shape of the team to get back to where we need it to be. We'll go at I'm fast enough. I have enough pace that we can go at my speed. That's a massive part of why I think we didn't crumble against Inter, for instance. He really was able to help us dictate a lot of the tempo at times. Lee, in a team that has been far too chaotic at times this season, did Liverpool actually need a player like Curtis dictating tempo, even if it occasionally frustrates fans who want faster, more vertical play?
That's the thing with Curtis. It's like sometimes he slows the plays out, other times he doesn't. but he is good at keeping the ball. But I
Mhm.
think there's definitely a future for him in the team and the squad. We're going to need him a lot. We're going to depend on him a lot, like for the rest of this season, because we ain't got a whole lot of options, mate, in midfield. And we know that he doesn't like to use certain players like Endo in league games. So Curtis is probably going to be playing a lot of football between now and the end of the season, quite a lot. So it's up to him, as always, as with every player. Like, it's on him. Burden's on him to produce, and he has been producing. I'm pleased with what he's been doing recently. I just hope it continues and that he gets even better. He gets more sure of himself, and that. Not to the detriment of his game, but I like that with him, that he's quite cocky sometimes. He believes in his own ability.
He believes in himself immensely. He
He knows
does.
he can beat players. He knows he can beat keepers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
He's
doesn't.
a good player,
It's
yeah.
not like he's looking around the locker room and saying, "Oh, you know what?" He's not like flabbergasted that he's like there.
No.
Doesn't believe
He'd
he's
back
supposed to be there.
himself,
Yeah.
wouldn't he? Back his own skill. I like his skill. Yeah, he's got a good skill set, and he is a good athlete. He gets about the pitch well. He's got a good amount of. He's not overblessed with pace for a guy, but he is pacey enough to get himself all over the place, in the midfield, putting pressure on and that, and trying to set things up.
Well, I was reading Norm's comments. I see he's talking about how it's not his ability, it's more his mentality. And I think he does have a good mentality. I think I think he has confidence in himself, and I think that he does bring about a certain pride to the pitch, and I think that's something important,
Yeah, he's a relaxed guy, off camera, but that doesn't mean that he's relaxed in his attitude to his career. He knows he's at a crucial point in his career now, and he's seen loads of other Scouse lads come into the team, play in the midfield for a couple of years, and then leave. And he doesn't want to be that. He wants to stay at the club. So, as I say, it's up to him, and he's definitely got what it takes. He just needs to produce it on the regular, make himself indispensable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's well put. That's very well put. All right. Well, we've talked about Curtis, the controller. We talked about Curtis, the possible lightning rod for debate. And we've also talked about Curtis, the 200 game scouser, holding this midfield together. Now let's see how well you actually know Curtis Jones. Remember, this is a fun section of we got time for this. This is where we get down to the dirty area. And obviously you saw the graphic in the corner, so you knew probably there's some presentation that's going to be presented. And this is that time. It's time for the Curtis Jones special of the 12th Man Pop Quiz. All right, get your answers ready in the comments. And do you guys want to play against each other on the panel, or do you want to go as a team? I'm about to say don't jump at once there.
Okay, we'll just go individually.
All right. Hopefully, if JK can't, then we'll go as a team just to make sure. All right, let's bring up this now. I'll bring up this. This was a quiz that was on Liverpool FC. Again, I got to figure out how to do that thing where you can take off the what do you call it? The cookies, or reset the cookies or something, I guess, or something like that. But so I could just play it again for you. But once you've taken the quiz, it's closed to you, so I can't show you the quiz. I can't go to the website and just show you the quiz again. So what I did was I tried to screenshot the questions as best I could. Sometimes it got a little crazy, but this is it. You guys ready in the chat? You guys ready in the panel?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can you dig it? Right? How about that?
Yeah,
all right.
Love that. Can you dig it?
Can you dig it? All right. Let's get it in. All right, ready for the This is going to be the man, the Scouser on the team. I'll pick up Lee Wiz, kid. I just saw that. I'll have to remember how to do that. Thank you. Curtis Jones. Let's do this, Cujo. Let's do this. All right. In which year, Lee? In which year? It's all on you, by the way, Lee, because JK had to drop out. Just so you know.
Okay.
In what year did Jones make his Liverpool debut? Was it 2017, 2018, 2019, or 2020?
Well, I'm going to say it was the 18-19 season, but I don't know which year. I'll say 19. I'll say it was 2019.
2019 would
No,
be...
actually, 2018. 2018.
I'm going to say this. Always go with your gut. You had the right answer the first time, my friend. You had the right answer the first time. 2019 is the answer for this one. 2019.
Told myself out the points. I'm terrible for that.
Oh, wow. All right. Next question. Who were the opposition in Jones' first Reds appearance? Who was the team that Curtis Jones went against in that appearance that we just talked about, 2019? Who was the team he played against?
That'll be Everton. FA Cup, Anfield, great Kehler beyond their keeper. Something that he attempted the other day and hit the bar of a similar type of shot. Yeah.
Okay, you're going with Everton. What's the chat going with? Everton was the cup that he scored in. Yeah, he did score in that. Yes, he did. But what is your answer? Is it Burnley? Is it Chelsea? Is it Everton? Or is it Wolves?
Far as I remember, that was his first team debut, that Everton game, and he was like 17.
Okay. Big up, Arto, by the way. Big up. Thank you for joining. What Norm said, Everton. Everyone's going with Everton. Oh, you guys are not going to hit my score. The answer would be Wolves.
Locks or Lummy. I thought it was Everton.
Yes, the answer is Wolves, surprisingly. Don't feel bad. Norm went with Burnley. So whenever Norm gets a question wrong, at least that lets you know that the question wasn't an easy question. How about that?
That was the first time I noticed Curtis was the Everton game at Anfield in the FA Cup. I do believe it was like the third, possibly the fourth round, and he scored that very nice goal, that Kehler. So that's why I thought that was the first time I seen him. He must have had an appearance before that then. Can you tell us about his first appearance then? This first appearance for Premier League, was it?
Jeez, now you want me to bring up history. Okay.
I would like to know, yeah.
Okay. Hold on. I'll have to get it from my notes here. Because appearance. I actually guessed on that question, but I got it right. So Curtis Jones made his first appearance for Liverpool's senior team on January 7th, 2019, in an FA Cup third round match against the Wolves, where he came on as a substitute in a 2-1 loss at the Molineux.
How'd that happen if he scored against Everton in the next round? That's a weird
That's what
one.
yeah.
If we got knocked out by Wolves, that would suggest we were knocked out by Wolves, then we wouldn't have been in it to play Everton.
That's what I would think. That's what I would think.
I'm sensing that they might have got this one wrong here.
Now, keep in mind, before everyone goes crazy with these answers, this is not me making these questions. As you can see,
I know, mate. I know. Well, I told you last night. If you Google Ian Rush, Liverpool's top scorer, it gives you Rush's record and shows you a picture of Ian Callaghan, who holds the record appearances, not the record goal scorer. And it's a black and white picture of Ian Callaghan from the mid-60s as well. That's hilarious. That he couldn't even get a picture of Ian Rush. Google.
I got 8 out of 8 on this quiz. Sometimes I don't do well on these quizzes, but I got 8 out of 8. I guessed on this one because I didn't know. I will openly admit that one. I happened to get it right. But that was the answer on the quiz. That if you want to take it up with someone, you'll have to go and take it up with Liverpool FC. They're the ones that made up this quiz. Okay, I know I've gotten a couple. I've gotten a couple of quizzes wrong. Okay,
now you know what I'd love. You know that thing where you Google Ian Rush.
Just try to make sure everyone
understands that. I would love that to be a picture of the person who's responsible for that happening. There must be one person who was responsible for that. They've mixed up the record goal scorer with the record appearance holder. Yes, they're both called Ian, but Rush and Callaghan. Very different names, many different letters in the name. Callaghan's or Rush, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I remember you brought that up yesterday.
Yeah. It's just funny, though. I bet you it's still bloody there now. That was like last year, but it's probably still there, mate. Because I looked after months and it's still at it, you know, just for a laugh to amuse myself, and it was still bloody there.
Yeah, if you do Google it, it says it was the FA Cup. Maybe it wasn't the FA Cup. Maybe it wasn't the FA Cup then.
It can't have been now, because we got knocked out the cup by no, we haven't been knocked out the cup by Wolves, so that's a no-go though. Definitely not in this era. Anyway,
no, but I'm telling you, this says I'm looking on. I know Wikipedia isn't the answer to all answers, but it says here. Says Jones made his first team debut on January 7, 2019 and 2000. That's because you're thinking of possibly the 2019-2020 FA Cup, maybe.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's probably it. But I still don't remember us getting knocked out by Wolves. No, Pops is right. That must have been 2020 when he got the Everton goal. But
yeah,
it must have been the season
I think you're thinking
that.
2019-2020, because the FA Cup match that we're talking about is 2018-2019. So you know. So that's why. That's why. Sorry. I don't want to. So don't send your angry letters to me. Don't send your angry letters.
This clearly wasn't an Ian Rush / Callaghan moment from the internet.
All right, let's get on with this. Human. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. All right, so people are starting to have recollection of when it happened. All right, starting to feel back. The times are coming back. All right, so let's go into this. Let's get into the next question. You're 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, I think, right? So, no, you're 0 for 2, unfortunately. How many times has he scored for LFC to this day? 9, 19, 29, 39. How many times has he scored for us? There's a 9 in it. I'll tell you that. How about that? I'll give you that clue. There's a 9 in the answer. I'm giving out clues now to help everyone out. How about that?
I'm going to go with 19.
And I see a couple answers. Getting entered in. 19 would be 19 goals he has so far for us. I knew he didn't have. I knew he had more than 9, and I knew he didn't have.
Yeah.
One. I knew that.
Yeah,
was
no, 19 sounds good. Paul Hardcastle,
Yeah.
19.
Sometimes you just got to go with the logical answer. Sometimes, especially when you get multiple choice, you just got to go with the logical. You go with the most logical. Go with your gut. All right. He currently wears number 17. But what was his first number for the club? What was the first number that he wore on his kit for Liverpool? What was the first number that Curtis Jones wore as a kit number for him?
I'm going to go with number 48.
Number 48 is your answer. I'm allowing for some of the other people to join in, but your answer would be correct. 48 is the answer. 48 is the answer. All right. Next question. Curtis has scored once in the Champions League. Who was it against? Who was the team that Curtis Jones has scored his lone goal against? Was it Ajax, Atletico, Napoli, or Rangers? Lee's thinking about this one. Where are you going with, Lee? What are you going with?
This is a tough one for me. I cannot lasso it and wrangle it into my mind. This Curtis Champions League goal.
Do it.
This is a good question.
Bruh. That's what you sound like.
Mate, I'm going to go for the unlikelier one of Atletico Madrid because they're hard to score against.
Oh, was that your gut talking?
No, it's just a weird one popped into my head because they're hard to score against.
Well,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
That would be incorrect. I'm sorry. It would be Ajax. Like most of the chat got it right. Good job. Good job to the people in the chat. Ajax is the answer. All right. I got 3 more here for you. For which teammate has he provided the most assists to? He's been actually good at assists. Almost as good. I think it might maybe even better than his goals. What player has been the recipient of those assists?
Me gut says Diaz has been the one who's benefited most from Curtis's assists.
You're going, we have a mixed bag going on. You're going Diaz. I saw Mo. I see Cody.
I thought Diaz or Cozy, but I'm going to go Diaz. I don't believe it's Mane or Mo.
Diaz. The answer to this, you said Diaz, is incorrect. The answer would be Mohamed Salah, the Egyptian king.
No way, Mo. No way.
It is Mo. Arto got it right. Yes, Arto got it right. Mo is the one. All right. Curtis is the youngest player ever to captain Liverpool. Is that true or false? This one's a good one for you guys. This one's one that will get you on the scoreboard regardless of what you've been tallying up as your score so far. Because this one's gotten a couple people, gotten some of the big.
Yeah, I'm trying to think it was rivals for being our youngest ever captain. I'm going to say it's false.
You're going false.
Yeah.
All right, you're going false. Ardo's going true. Edward's going false. Retro's going false. Oh, wow.
Gotta be a false.
This quiz was tough for some people. It is true. Curtis Jones is the youngest player ever to captain Liverpool.
Well, butter my ass. I never expected that.
Yes. That is what we're dealing with. And last but not least, how many of his 200 games have ended in victory?
I'm going to say 125 have ended in victory. I'm going high rather than low. I'm going for the maximum. 125.
125 is what we're going with. 125, somewhat low, somewhat high. The answer would be 125 games he's been a part of. Out of those 200 games he's played in, 125 of them have been victories.
Yeah,
that is some record.
No sense when you think about the period he's been here. We've been winning a lot, so the higher number made sense, and it was a return to winning form for me within the quiz because I was sure as shit getting them wrong for a few goes there.
Yeah, I would say so. You were definitely not scoring on all cylinders. You weren't doing a Curtis Jones performance. I'll tell you that much. Or something to that extent. Oh man, big up to those that got that right. I don't know how many of you did. How many you guys got right altogether? This is just to show you, like, you know what I'm saying, why I know the answers are the answers, because I happen to get those all correct. Because Curtis Jones is one of my definitely preferred players on this team. I just like the fact that he's a hometown boy. I like the fact that I got the privilege of meeting him and his I believe it's his wife now. Right? They're married, correct? I believe they're married now. At the time, I don't believe they were married when I met him, but it was for his 21st birthday in Los Angeles. But I was like one of the few people that actually knew who the heck he was, you know? So that's probably why he actually stopped to, shake my hand for a quick second to say hello. Just wish him the best. Wish him and his missus the best, as always. But yeah, well done to everyone out there. Yeah, 62.5% is a good win rate. If you can say to yourself that over 60% of the time when I'm in the game, we win. That is pretty good. That is definitely pretty good. I don't know where you guys are going with what you guys are talking about in there. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I'll throw you an extra one. I had a couple extras, but I had a couple of extra questions on there. Did you want me to give you a fun one just to get you back into feeling like you guys were doing well?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, throw a bonus round. I would say, why not?
Okay, all right. Let me pull this one up here for you. All right. Who was the manager who gave Curtis Jones his senior debut? That's easy. I'm giving you guys a layup, by the way. This is an absolute tap-in, by the way, because y'all know what year it was. So, I mean, it's an absolute tap-in. But maybe, who knows? Maybe I'm trying to be like nefarious, and maybe it's the assistant coach that was coaching the game, since it was a domestic cup. Who knows? Who knows? Oh, the intrigue.
No, it has to be none other than Herr Jurgen Norbert Klopp, our former guru and spiritual king. But yeah, it has to be that one.
There you go. All right, I just wanted to make sure that everyone got a little bit of and a little bit of left on a winning feeling. How about that? You guys, you're leaving on a win. How about that? You guys are leaving on a win. I did not ask for an autograph, by the way. I didn't even ask for a photograph. Actually, I didn't ask for a photo and all that. He was with his missus, so and it's like sometimes walking up to people like that, you're kind of like a little hesitant to walk up and be, hey, what's going on? Especially when they're out and about, just having doing their own thing. So I just walked up and casually said, you'll never walk alone. That's basically how I walked up to him. And he got it. He got it. He knew that I knew who he was, because not many people walk up to you and say that unless they're a red.
Oh, that was funny, that moment of Zen last night with the fake Ali and the fake Virgil, and then the guy who we couldn't make up who he was meant to be, and what tracksuit top he was wearing, because it wearing a Liverpool one. The other
it wasn't.
Would be decked in full Liverpool splendour, but that guy, it looked like a bloody Southampton kit when I looked at it up close. It looked like their badge, but obviously it would have been like.
I wasn't wearing any Liverpool gear. I wasn't at the time I met him. I wasn't wearing Liverpool gear, if that's what you're wondering. Only because it was like a out on the town type experience. I wear sometimes Liverpool gear when I go out in the town, but just that particular.
Hey, Virgil's done a new advert. What is it? Fucking Expedia, TripAdvisor, or no, a different one. Some sort of booking thing where he's lying on a bed. well, I've only seen it recently, so it was funny to see him getting his ad groove on, like.
Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead. You can ask the question. Go ahead. Trivago. Does he do Trivago too? Does DVD?
Yeah, he does Trivago, but this one weren't Trivago. This was something different.
Okay.
But he looked
Go ahead, Norm. You can ask the question.
He looked very relaxed, reclining on a bed in some gaff, telling us where to go to do our bookings. I did get a laugh out of the clock one, like the what is it? Never skimming Erdinger. That was quite funny. I mean, some adverts with footballers though. The funniest one was Ryan Giggs' brother doing an advert for a pint of bitter. Oh, that was dead funny, though. But fair play to him, he got some money out of it. What happened to him publicly, Rodri Giggs, got some money out of it. He's got a sense of humour.
I began following Liverpool in the 90s. If you want to know the honest truth, I began liking them in the 90s. The early 90s. I'm not trying to give away my age so much, but we'll say it was when I was a young lad and I was playing football myself. That was the reason why. I grew up liking Michael Owen as a player. I wasn't trying to emulate him, but I thought Michael Owen was like the player that I liked initially when I started supporting Liverpool, if that's part of your question. Oh, that answers your question. I hope that probably answers your second part of your question. And he says, who was the first Liverpool player you saw and thought, wow, he was good? One of the major reasons why is because Michael Owen was one of the major reasons why I became a Liverpool fan, was because I enjoyed Michael Owen and how incredible of a player he was. How incredible a player was. That was my guy. Well, it definitely wasn't easy to watch him go on to what he ended up doing. Again, that shows the difference today. In today's world, sometimes you don't have, it wasn't like Michael Owen left and I'm like, oh, even as a supporter that's not necessarily England or even Liverpool based, I didn't say to myself, oh, I'm going to stop being a Liverpool fan because Michael Owen isn't a Liverpool player. It's a weird era that we live in these days. I didn't grow up in that era, to be honest with you, where people would do those kinds of things. Like if a player left the team, people would follow the player to whatever other team they went to, you know. But quite often, like we see that more often or happen more often these days, you know, whether it's like, you know, your Ronaldos or your Messis. Like I've seen people be Messi fans and they'll be diehard Barcelona fans. But now that he's gone and he's at PSG, now they rock PSG gear, you know. And now that he's at Inter Miami, excuse me, they rock, you know, a Miami gear. There are people like that. It's like that. To me, it's very connected to the whole like LeBron James, you know, era of sports, in the sense of like LeBron James has gone from Cleveland to Miami to Los Angeles and wherever, and he went back to Cleveland, you know, like wherever he goes, people follow and support what team he's on. I was never that kind of supporter. I was a Liverpool Red, and also because I got connections to other players on the team that I absolutely enjoyed and loved, you know, whether it was Agger, whether it was I'm just thinking of some of my favorite players on the teams. Obviously, El Nino. Love myself some Alonso. I even like Skirtle. I know some people don't like Skirtle, but I liked Skirtle. I like both of those players. I'm trying to think of some other players I definitely enjoyed watching play. Obviously, I can't. I have bias in my opinion, but maybe because I'm a friend. He's a friend, but Daniel Sturridge. I'd say Daniel Sturridge. I love watching him play. He'd probably get on me if I didn't say his name, so I'll say it like that. And others, lots of other players too. Obviously, Dirk Kuyt. I loved. I thought he was like the embodiment of it all. Peter Crouch. I liked. I don't know.
Yeah, Crouch was good, mate. He was effective, wasn't he? And he was what we needed. Remember, like Rafa said at the time when he got him, like I was uninspired by the signing. I was like, oh, who's going to get up front? And we got him. But Rafa was like, you know, we started playing better immediately with him in the side. And Rafa said, that is the reason, because Peter Crouch is up front and we've got something to hit and play off. And he was good with his control. Some of his close control was excellent. I remember a little reverse pass he did for Pongol to score. I think it was the year after we won it, the Champions League the next season when we started it. We were away in Spain and we won away to like Real Betis or someone, I think it was. And Crouch on this lovely little reverse ball might have been for Zenden or something, and he put it across the box and Pongol to score. But it was a lovely little crafty setup from Crouch, and he was capable of that.
Well, tell me in the comments when you get a chance, maybe if you watch this on the replay, or if you are watching this on the replay, please tell me what's your favorite Curtis Jones moment. You know, I know there are some out there that they've already. I mean, we just heard one of Lee's favorite moments. I'm sure a lot of us think
I'm
about.
going to stick with that one because it was one Scouser crossing from the right wing, and it was right to the back post as well, where Curtis was come running in, just cushioned it past the Spurs keeper. Nice touch. It was lovely. It was a lovely finish. It was just like a really controlled, easy finish. Some players might have tried to like take a whack at it, but he just cushioned it into the net, mate. And it was fucking pearl of that goal. So it was one Scouser to another, and I really enjoyed that because I ain't seen it for a while.
Okay. You can tell us what you think. What is your favorite goal by him or favorite moment? It doesn't have to be a goal. It could be a moment. You know, maybe you say something like the moment. Oh, was it? Was it last year? It's 2 years ago, where we had the Everton bust up, right? Wasn't it that moment? Wasn't that the moment that remember where Curtis Jones like stuck up for at the end of the Tarkowski got the goal at the end of the game, and then and then what's his name? The Everton player was celebrating in front of the supporting, the traveling fans. Remember that one?
Yeah.
No.
Well, Norm's just mentioning it there because Norm was there, yeah, when Decore was celebrating
Yeah,
that
that's it.
bollocks, and
That's it.
Curtis
Yeah, that's
was
it.
like, nah.
Yeah, that's
Nah,
it. See, that's why I figured
great
someone.
stuff,
I
nah.
figured someone would say that one. Yeah, that was last season. Okay, it was last season. Yeah.
Yeah, that bastard push that he done on Ibu, the unbalanced Ibu, and it was clear as bloody day, and they still got the goal. The ref didn't have the bollocks for us to win the last game at Goodison. Simple as that. And Arnie got his ban, didn't he, for telling the ref what a dickhead he was like on the final whistle. Remember? Now, when you seen the footage, it didn't look like Arnie said very much at all. He said a couple of words, but the way he looked at him and shook his hand was just like, it was priceless. But I felt cheated, mate. We got ripped off there. We deserved to win that game. And the last one would have made me laugh, you know what I mean? To win the last derby.
Yeah, that was the fact that, what's always weird about those situations is it hurts even more because very similar to Brighton, when the player that nearly tied it up for them ended up was the player that had the questionable foul called him, or yellow, not red, called on him. But again, yeah, Tarkowski was he shouldn't have been on the pitch, to be honest with you. He shouldn't have even been on the pitch. That was an outright red card that he knew what he was doing when he tackled. You want to talk about intent? That was full intent. Full intent to not only put a mark on our player, on McAllister.
The worst non-decision that we've ever seen in the Premier League era has got to be the one that deprived us of the title at Goodison when Rodri handballed it. And shithouse Tierney was he the ref or the VAR Tierney that night? And he said, I think he was VAR, and he said, I did not see a clear and obvious error that the ref didn't see the handball. What? I mean, he's had time to see it because Rodri, it was like basketball the way he patted it down dead obviously, didn't he? It wasn't even he didn't even start. He tried to hide it a tiny bit, but it was so obvious, it was laughable. And Tierney decided that it wasn't a clear. Now, the ref did not see it because I remember at the time the ref literally did not see it happen, and he was relying on them. And they said no. And then it was the first time ever that the PGMOL had come out and apologised for a wrong decision. They said, sorry about that, Liverpool. It was handball. It should have been a penalty. Well, that's no fucking good, mate. We lost the league by one bastard point. If that penalty was given and it goes in the net, we win the league.
Yep.
And that's all there is to it. That's the worst one ever.
Yeah. There's no guarantee that he would have. There's no guarantee that he would have made that penalty. I'm not saying there's a guarantee, but there's a high likelihood that he would have scored, considering the rate of penalties that are scored. It's more likely that you score a penalty than miss one.
But Charleston was their pen taker then, and he was scoring their pens.
Well, look, tonight we've gone from the very worst of humanity, I think, to some of the best. We had a day of celebration turned into carnage by one man behind the wheel and stopped by another man who risked himself to protect strangers, maybe even loved ones. A European giant whining about a penalty instead of looking into the mirror and saying, you lost. A Liverpool backline held together by tape, praying for January reinforcements. A squad stretched thin, heading to Spurs on fumes, possibly. And a local lad, Scouser in the team, Curtis Jones, quietly hitting 200 appearances and becoming a symbol of what this club can still produce when talent meets patience and trust. If there's a theme tonight, it is this: character. Character is Dan Barr, the guy who climbed into that car to stop that maniac from harming others. Character is playing through the noise. Enter tears, Salah drama, injuries, and still grinding out results. Character is a Scouser in the middle of the park saying, give me the ball, I'll take the risk. My Reds family, let me let me know in the comments who's your, what is your best moment for Curtis? Do we have to sign a center back in January? And if one, not two, tell me who you think. And what's your honest feeling heading into Spurs away with half a squad? We're going to get into a preview of the game, but we are certainly going to ask that you answer that question so we can have an idea of where your mindset is. But as always, thank you for rocking with the Liverpool 12th Man Show. I'm going to give you a moment of red zen, as I like to do more often now. We're talking about Scousers. We're talking about players that, represent. In the comments, because I'm not going to say who the Scouser is, but in the comments, please do tell me who this young gentleman is. But as always, again, like I said, thank you for rocking with us. Look after each other, protect each other in whenever we can, and never forget we are the strongest when we stand together. I'm going to let me see if I can get the picture up. This is our moment of red zen. Can you tell me who this certain individual is? This was once a young lad who was thinking about wearing that badge as an adult. And boy, did he ever. You'll never walk alone, my friends and family out there. You'll never walk alone. Thank you for joining us today. This is 12th Man, Liverpool 12th Man. This is Lee Scouse Lee, and Liverpool 12th Man signing off. We will check you guys out tomorrow. Take care, up the Reds, and remember, you'll never walk alone.